All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It is Wednesday, Wanderlust Wednesday, here in the cave, where we talk about either bands you don't know or maybe someone's name you know and you don't know their music. And that's what we're doing today, because some things came up on stories for what happened in the month of December historically, and it just aligned because Paul Chabot, you reached out to me and were asking me about Frank Zappa recently, and we started talking about it. I sent you a song to listen to or two, and so that's what we're talking about, Frank Zappa. Most people know his name, they know of him, but I'm gathering that most people can't really name a song from him, and if they can, it's one song from the early 80s, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. This has the potential to be like a 9 or 10 minute episode, but I'm not going to do it. I won't do that to you guys. But Frank Zappa, a very important musician. Why? I mean, his first record came out like 1967, The Mothers of Invention. He was making music all through that time, all through the late 60s, all through the 70s. And it's just, you couldn't put it in a category. There was just no way. It didn't fit. He was always doing something different. He was just like, it was all kinds of music. It was folk and jazz and rock and freeform experimental. He was a self-taught composer. He was a self-taught performer. He had characters, recurring characters on his albums. He had really strange names for his songs, and a lot of satire, totally non-conforming to anything at all. And so you couldn't just say you were a Frank Zappa fan, because it was just, the music is all over the map. And so you really have to point to like, well, I like this one or I like that one. But that is where that comes from, as far as like why you may not be aware of much of his music. His father was a chemist. We'll do this quickly. His father was a chemist. He grew up Aberdeen Proving Grounds. He had gas masks in his house. He had sinus infections, and they treated him with radium in his nostrils to try to treat that, which was something that was really traumatic for him. And so anyway, as I said, he was a self-taught composer and performer, gets together with a band, the Mothers of Invention, puts out a record in 1966, and that's called Freak Out, and that puts him on the map. And he goes solo and back and forth with the band. He does a lot of different stuff. Heck, he was even on the Monkees in 1967. He was switched places with Mike Nesmith, and they play each other. And they play one of his songs while he's like destroying a car with a bat or something like that. But anyway, important album was 1974, Apostrophe. That went to number 10 in the Billboard charts. Even his song Don't Eat the Yellow Snow went to number 86, and that song I think got played on the radio, and that's one of the songs that you might know. That song you might, but that's not the one that I meant. But Peaches and Regalia 1969 is in solo, his Hot Rats album. All these are a lot of important records that you can try to explore and see, and you're gonna listen to one of his records and you're gonna find like, I like that one and that one's totally different and I don't know about that. Like, that's just how it works. But for me, the first song I ever heard was, like many of you, in the early 80s, was when he put out that album Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch, with that famous cover. But that song Valley Girl, of course, with his daughter Moon Unit, who did all that singing. And that was just that was a fluke hit. But that was my introduction to the idea of that there was a Frank Zappa. And it was in college that Sean Murphy brings to me a CD and says, Mark, you got to check this out. And they had put Apostrophe and his album Overnight Sensation on one CD, and that's the one that we just couldn't stop playing. We just played that all summer, all fall. We just were obsessed with this record. So many songs on here that are just very interesting, not all appropriate for work or for around children, just warning you ahead of time. But there's just some really good stuff here. It turns out the stuff I like from him are where he's singing in his deep voice, and he's got these crazy lyrics and sentences where he just goes on. And then, but he'll be telling a story, and then all of a sudden there'll be a flute or a violin out of nowhere, or a guitar, or there'll be suddenly a backup singer, or female backup singers, and all of a sudden there's male backup singers. Like, it's just all over the place, but it works. For some reason it works. Some of the other songs where there's a little too much of that, and he's singing more of like in chorus or something, those don't work as much for me if it's a little too busy. I prefer the ones where they're telling a story. So what are we talking about? We're talking about, of course, Don't Eat the Yellow Snow. That one they played on the radio, I believe. The thing about this record is it goes right into other songs. So that one goes right into Nanook Rubs It, and that's one of my favorite songs of all time by him. And it's about his fur trapper in Alaska. and he gets angry, and the yellow snow is back in that one. But the language, the vocabulary he uses in this song, and is just so interesting and amazing, and that's where you hear all these different instruments, and it tells this story. But anyway, that one you got to check out. Cosmic Debris is also a good one on there. Camarillo Brillo, that's where you start to get into the not suitable for work or children, a little bit on that one, but that's a good one. Dirty Love, that's a good one. I'm the Slime as well, and then Dynamo Hum, that's one you definitely can't play around anyone if you're concerned about that, but that's also a good one. And then there's the gold standard for me from Frank Zappa, and that's this one, Montana, Whipping Floss. You know what this is right here? Anyone know what this is? This is a CD single. Who remembers these? They open up like a miniature record album, and you could take it out, and there is your miniature CD with 1 to 5 songs on it, and you could play that kind of like a 45. These were around for several years, but not too long, as you can imagine. Anyway, this song, Montana, is where he's just going to get up and move to Montana and start a farm, and he's going to raise dental floss. He's going to start raising up some dental floss. You just have to listen to understand it. So anyway, last but not least, oh my gosh, see, it's at 6 minutes. The anniversary that we heard about, other than the anniversary of his death at age 52, and I think in December, prostate cancer was an anniversary. He has a birthday in December, but he's performing solo in 1971, 12/4/71, 50 years ago, in Montreux, Switzerland, and he's going to do the last act to play at this casino, and then it's going to close for the season. And Deep Purple is there, and they're waiting for that to happen, so that when the casino closes, they can use it as their rehearsal space and to make a record. And before that can happen, Zappa's equipment catches fire, huge casino fire, burns the casino down. Deep Purple are watching it from across the water, and they will just watch it all go down, and they can't make their record. And that is where the song Smoke on the Water comes from Deep Purple. There you go. That's what you learned today. All right, check out some Frank Zappa today, the ones I post below. Tell me, are you guys fans? Do you know any songs by him? Fascinating guy. We didn't even get to PMRC and any of that stuff. He didn't do drugs, but he was for legalizing them. But interesting character. Check him out, and we're heading out because I'm not going to do 8 minutes. Have a good one, and as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.
Deprived him of his sight.